A strange silence had taken over a distant part of the galaxy. For centuries, it had been full of life, glowing with thousands of stars and voices of intelligent beings. But now, it was quiet. Too quiet. A single ship floated near the edge of a dying system. Its lights were weak, its hull burned. Inside, an alien named Velek sat alone. His hands trembled as he typed the last few words into the control panel. He knew he didn't have much time left. His home planet was gone. His people were gone. The enemy had arrived without warning. They didn't speak. They didn't ask. They just came in. Everything changed. Velek pressed a button. A signal was sent, a simple message repeated in every known language. Please, help us. We are falling. The message left the ship like a final breath, traveling through space, passing stars, jumping across systems, hoping anyone would hear. Far away, beyond the spiral arms of the galaxy, on a small blue planet called Earth, the signal arrived. It was picked up not by large governments or space agencies, but by a quiet facility buried under mountains in Asia. There, a woman named Dr. Alina Reed sat with her eyes wide, her heart beating faster than ever before. She wasn't shocked by the message, no. She had been waiting for something like this her whole life. Alina didn't call the press. She didn't alert any news channels. She pressed a different button, a hidden one. A screen lit up, showing only 2 words. Code origin. Soon, messages were sent across secret networks, not using satellites, but hidden systems the public didn't even know existed. Across Earth, in deep oceans, deserts, and even under cities, people began to move. They weren't soldiers in uniforms. They didn't wear flags. But they had been trained for years. They were called the Watchers. These were men and women who had known the truth that Earth wasn't alone, that something bigger was out there, that one day a call would come, and Earth would have to decide, ignore it, or answer. In a quiet hangar hidden inside an icy cave, old ships that never appeared on any satellite photo powered up for the first time in decades. Their engines hummed with strange blue light. Pilots stepped forward, calm, focused, ready. The world outside remained normal. People walked streets. Children played. News channels talked about politics and weather. No one knew that humanity had just stepped into something far greater than itself. As Earth's skies looked peaceful, ships left the planet one by one, moving so fast they vanished in seconds. They didn't carry flags. They didn't send warnings. They just left, heading toward the last place the signal had come from. In space, a small council station picked up strange movements. Alien diplomats, old and tired, watched the data. Who are they? Someone asked. The screen showed human ships, silent and dark, moving faster than expected. The council hadn't heard from Earth in years. They thought humanity had gone quiet, maybe backward. But now, something had awakened down on the edge of the destroyed system. Near the floating ruins of Velek's ship, the first human craft arrived. It didn't flash lights or fire weapons. It stopped and scanned. Quiet, precise. Inside, a man named Commander Lian watched the data. This wasn't a natural attack, he said. This was planned, and fast. Someone wanted no one left alive. Back at Earth Command, Alina connected to Lian. Her voice was calm. Do not wait for orders. We're not here to take sides. We're here to find the truth. The Watchers weren't like the old governments. They didn't follow the old ways. They believed in action, in knowledge, and in never repeating the mistakes of the past. In the shadows of destroyed planets, the human ships moved deeper. They weren't scared. They had trained in silence. They had prepared without glory, and the galaxy had no idea what was coming, because this time, Earth was not answering a call for help as victims. It was answering as something the galaxy had never truly met. Something quiet, something patient, something unstoppable. The council's chamber was filled with worried voices. Reports from different sectors showed the same thing: disappearances, broken signals, and empty planets. For generations, the Galactic Council had believed in unity, diplomacy, and peaceful cooperation. But none of their peaceful ways had stopped the threat, now spreading across systems like a dark fog. Among the voices, one ambassador asked, "Has anyone responded to the distress signal?" Another replied, "One did, but it was not who we expected." The room fell silent. All screens pointed to a new fleet moving through uncharted paths. Ships that didn't belong to the Council. Ships that moved fast, without sending any warnings. Their engines were strange. Their design unknown. They didn't respond to hails. They didn't request permission. They simply arrived silent, and, observing the name of the planet from which they had come, blinked across every screen. Earth. In the past, Earth was considered young, unpredictable, even primitive by the Council. A species still learning its place. But what the Council didn't know, what most of the galaxy didn't know, was that Earth had been watching everything, quietly, patiently, preparing beneath the mountains of Earth. In deep bunkers far from any city, the Watchers had created their own understanding of the galaxy. They didn't believe in waiting for approval. They believed in survival. And survival meant knowing what others did not. Dr. Alina Reed stood before a wide wall of screens, each showing data from human ships now moving deeper into unknown sectors. She turned to her team. "We are not the first to arrive," she said, but we will be the last to leave. Meanwhile, Commander Lian's ship drifted near the edge of a silent asteroid field. His crew scanned the ruins of what looked like a mining station. Nothing remained. No bodies, no debris. Just a cold emptiness. A pattern. The same pattern they had seen at 2 other locations. This wasn't random, Lian said. It's too clean. At that same moment, another human ship made contact with a small alien survivor vessel hidden within the remains of a broken moon. The crew brought the alien aboard. The creature was weak, frightened, but alive. It looked around at the humans not with fear, but with confusion. You're not what we expected, the alien whispered. You look like us. But your eyes, they're different. The humans said nothing. They offered water. They listened. The alien continued. The enemy did not speak. It did not threaten. It only removed. One by one, we vanished. That night, across multiple human outposts in deep space, silent meetings were held. No news was shared with Earth's governments. No press, no broadcasts, only quiet planning. The Watchers had waited too long for this moment. They did not come to impress. They came to understand and act. Back at the council, confusion grew. More and more alien worlds were hearing of Earth's quiet involvement. Some felt hope, others felt unsure. Who were these humans who arrived without ceremony, who moved like shadows but saw everything, who offered help without asking for return? No one knew how advanced Earth had become in secret. No one expected them to be so prepared. One council leader said, "They don't ask us for instructions." Another answered, "That's because they never planned to follow them." At a quiet research station built inside an asteroid, Dr. Alina studied the ancient records recovered from the ruins of one lost world. Symbols, energy patterns, star paths, something clicked. "This has happened before," she said slowly. "Long ago," and someone erased the memory. Earth wasn't just responding to the signal. It was following a trail, a forgotten trail, one that might lead to the truth behind the silent destruction across the galaxy and in the quiet of deep space, far from stars, far from voices. The human ships kept moving, calm, steady, focused. The council had asked for help, but what they received was something entirely different. It started with a flicker, a brief pulse. On a scanner drifting through the edge of Sector 7, a small council research vessel, broken and running on reserve power, floated silently above a planet reduced to dust. Commander Joro, a senior officer from the Adari species, stared at the blinking dot on the display. It wasn't the signal that surprised him, it was where it came from. "It's them," he whispered. The humans had arrived. Council ships had been trying to investigate the mystery behind the vanishing worlds for weeks, but by the time they reached each system, everything was gone. No people, no machines, no traces. And each time, without warning, a human ship was already there, ahead of them, silent, fast, and never asking questions. They didn't come with fleets, just small teams. But those teams moved like they knew the answers before the questions were even asked. Commander Lian's team had landed on one of the few surviving moons in the affected zone. What looked like a barren rock from above actually hid ancient ruins beneath the surface. Human drones moved through tight tunnels with quiet efficiency. They weren't looking for survivors, they were looking for patterns. Inside one chamber, Alina's voice came through a secure connection. "There's something under the data, not just energy signatures or traces of weapons. It's like someone wanted this to be remembered, but only by those who knew where to look." The Watchers had their own history, and it wasn't the one taught in Earth's schools. Their records held mentions of a forgotten Sokola threat that came not through invasion, but through disappearance. Entire species lost, not in battles, but in silence. Long ago, Earth had faced something similar, and barely survived. This mission wasn't just about helping others. It was about making sure that past didn't return. But still, the galaxy didn't understand. A council envoy ship landed near one of the human camps on an abandoned station orbiting a gas giant. A team of aliens, unsure and nervous, stepped onto the platform. They expected formality. They expected greetings, rules, handshakes. Instead, they were met by a human named Riley, one of the Watchers. He wore no rank, no symbols, just a simple black suit with a single line across the chest. "Observe, adapt, act. Why are you here?" the lead alien asked. Riley didn't answer. Right away he pointed to a nearby screen. It showed a map, red markers, dozens of them. Systems that had already gone dark. "We're here because no one else got here fast enough," he finally said. "But we didn't ask for you," the envoy said. "That's exactly the problem," Riley replied. "The humans weren't here for diplomacy. They were here for results." Back on Earth, whispers of the mission began to surface in hidden forums and encrypted feeds. Some called them explorers, some called them protectors. But the Watchers had a different name for themselves. The line between silence and survival. They didn't want attention. They wanted understanding. Then the deeper they traveled, the more clear it became the pattern was not random. Each destroyed world had something in common. Something ancient, something connected. The same symbols, the same energy codes, the same strange echoes beneath the signals. A forgotten presence, watching, listening, waiting, and yet the council still debated, still argued, still asked questions while time slipped away. Humanity had already chosen its path, not because they believed they were better, but because they couldn't afford to wait. As one watcher team moved across a frozen moon, a young alien technician, named Seren, whispered to a human beside her, "Why do you risk so much for strangers?" The human answered simply, "Because last time, no one came for us." For the first time, Seren understood. The humans didn't fight for glory. They prepared because they remembered, and now, they were the ones who arrived first, not as leaders, not as saviors, but as the only ones who truly understood what was coming. Next. The stars above the Bryden expanse shimmered quietly, almost too quietly. 1,000 small sensors floated across the region, but none picked up movement. No sound, no heat, just stillness. And in space, stillness was never a good sign. Then, all at once, every human ship in that quadrant received the same alert. Unusual. Gravitational distortion detected. Possible artificial manipulation. Prepare for contact. Commander Lian sat in his chair, staring at the growing disturbance outside the viewport. It didn't look like a ship. It didn't look like anything normal. The space itself seemed to bend and shimmer, like something huge was trying to form, not just enter, but break through. On the Council's nearest monitoring outpost, panic spread. Diplomats began sending warning messages to nearby systems. Council defense fleets were ordered to move, but most of them were too far away. They had been spread thin, trying to calm frightened populations. Only one group was close enough to respond immediately: humanity. And they did not wait for permission. 3 ships, quiet, shadow black, equipped with unfamiliar energy signatures, moved toward the disturbance without delay. Each ship belonged to a different branch of the Watchers. Each had a single job: identify, contain, from a command station hidden on the edge of a dark nebula, gave one order: do not engage. Observe first, respond only if necessary. But it became clear very quickly this was not a moment for watching. The disturbance erupted, light bent, and something began to push through. Not a ship, not a creature, something empty, a shape, without form, like a shadow made from thought. Sensors failed to explain it. The computers showed no data, just static. But the human teams didn't panic. They activated an older system, not based on light, or gravity, or magnetism but memory. Each Watcher ship had within it the record of Earth's own silent battle long ago, the one no history book ever spoke of, the one that almost erased them, and now, what had returned was familiar. It's the same, Lian said quietly. Different shape, same feeling. The 3 ships formed a triangle. They didn't fire. Instead, they released a pulse of strange energy pattern not meant to harm, but to measure. The result came back almost instantly. Empty, hollow, yet somehow aware. The enemy didn't send threats. It never had. It erased, quietly, fully. The disturbance grew. Small drones sent by Council allies were pulled into it, gone without a sound. Council commanders watching from afar ordered their ships to retreat. It's too dangerous, they said. We must wait and study from a distance. But the human ships stayed. One Watcher, pilot, call sign Gray, opened a voice-only channel to Alina. Do we hold, or do we push? Alina's reply was calm. If we wait too long, there will be nothing left to protect. Begin phase 1. What happened next was not a battle, it was a test. The human ships didn't launch weapons. They triggered an ancient signal, known only to a few. A sequence created long ago, built into Earth's defense systems not to destroy, but to disrupt memory-based entities. Because this wasn't a fight with fire or steel. This was a test of presence, and presence was something humanity had mastered. The light around the enemy began to shift. It reacted, as if confused. Then it moved back. Not far, but just enough. Enough to understand that this time, someone remembered. Back on the Council outpost, silence turned to confusion. What did they do? An alien asked. They didn't attack, said another. They just stood there. But humans knew the truth. In some moments, showing that you are not afraid is the greatest act of defense. Later that night, as the threat faded back into the unknown, a message was sent from the Watchers to all major Council systems. What you fear, we have faced. What you wait to understand, we have already studied. We do not seek control. But we will not let this galaxy disappear while you argue over answers. We act not because we are stronger, but because we are ready. And with that, the ships disappeared into deep space once again. No ceremony, no spotlight, just purpose. The galaxy took its first deep breath in weeks. The threat had paused, but the silence had changed. For the first time, the Council realized that help had come not in the form of shining heroes or mighty fleets. It had come in quiet ships, with calm voices, with memories deeper than most could imagine. And above all, with a warning: this wasn't over. And Earth never forgot. The night sky over Earth looked peaceful, calm, like any other night. But above the clouds, far beyond what ordinary people could see, something very old had started to wake up, inside a hidden research vessel orbiting a quiet moon. Dr. Alina Reed stood alone in a dark room, staring at symbols glowing across a massive circular wall. The symbols were not human, nor were they council language. They belonged to something much older than most records in the galaxy. Until now, no one had been able to translate them. But one word kept repeating, again and again. Return. Alina's voice was low as she recorded her thoughts. This wasn't just a warning, it was a memory left behind, meant for us. Meanwhile, in a quiet system beyond the council's reach, human teams were exploring a dead planet. Not destroyed like others, this one had stopped functioning. No wind, no water, not even light from the sun above, as if life had been turned off, like a switch. Commander Lian's voice came through the ship's comms. This is the third planet like this. It's not an attack, it's a pattern. Back on the council's main station, a new concern had begun to spread. A group of old records, long buried in forgotten archives, had been uncovered. In them, there were stories, ancient myths about a time before the council even existed. A time when something spread across the stars, not with force, but with silence. Planets lost their sound. Civilizations forgot their names, until one species stood up, and then disappeared from history. One name kept showing up, written differently in different languages, but always pointing in the same direction. Arth. A council advisor, reading the records, asked a quiet question no one had an answer to. Did humanity fight this before? And if so, why didn't they tell anyone? The truth was, humanity didn't forget. They chose silence. Not to hide the danger, but to prepare for the day it returned. And now, that day had come. The enemy, if it could be called, that did not move like any known life form. It had no shape, no sound, no message, but it left signs. It left fear, and it left absence. A planet could be full of cities one day, and be nothing but stone the next. But humanity had begun to trace the movements, and more importantly, they had begun to understand the intention behind them. The Watchers, operating in secret outposts throughout the galaxy, developed a timeline. The pattern wasn't random, it was deliberate. Whatever this force was, it followed memory. It fed on records, on history, on identity. The more a planet remembered, the more it was targeted, and that's where humans were different. Humans didn't just keep history, they protected it, shared it, passed it down through voice, song, pictures, even in stories of fiction. Every loss, every mistake, every pain, they kept it all, because they understood something few others did. Memory is strength, and now, their memories were becoming the galaxy's last defense. In one of the outer sectors, a human ship named Aurora encountered an ancient alien structure buried beneath an ice-covered moon. Inside, the walls showed visions, not drawings, but light recordings of a long-lost world fading into darkness. And standing at the center of those memories was a figure. It wasn't fully clear, but it had 2 arms, 2 legs, a human shape. The crew stood in silence. Did we already fight this? Someone whispered. Eli, and I received the images a few hours later. She froze. That's not a recording of a battle, she said. That's a warning from us. From the past? She sent the message to the entire Watcher network. 1 sentence only. We've seen this before. We left a message for ourselves. Everything changed after that. The council, still unsure, still waiting for data, began to receive messages from different alien species, smaller, frightened civilizations asking Earth for help directly. Not the council, Earth. Because slowly others were beginning to feel it too. That humanity wasn't rising by accident, it was returning by design. Back aboard the Aurora, the memory-based enemy returned, this time as a pulse, passing through walls, attempting to erase data and thought. The crew activated the one system designed to counter it. Echo Protocol, a stream of voices from Earth's past, playing over and over, not weapons, words. Old stories. Survivor voices, heartbeats of a species that never forgot. The pulse weakened, the enemy pulled back. It didn't expect that, because everything it erased. Humans remembered louder. The galaxy had cried out for help, but what had answered was not just a planet. It was a history, and that history was not afraid. Asterisk across the stars. Something had changed. For the first time in weeks, the silent force that had erased whole civilizations stopped moving. It wasn't gone, but it paused, studying, listening, and it was listening to one thing: Earth. Deep inside the command hub, orbiting a hollowed asteroid, Dr. Alina Reed walked through a corridor filled with quiet voices, recordings of ancient messages from across the galaxy. Some were hundreds of years old, others recorded just hours before their planets fell. But now, they played together in a strange harmony. This wasn't for history, it was part of the plan. A message wasn't just a call for help anymore. It was a shield. The Watchers had discovered something unusual. The force moving through space didn't react to weapons. It didn't answer communication, but it reacted to memory, to story, to connection, to identity. It erased what was forgotten, but when it met something too loud, too full of memory, It paused. That pause was the only chance the galaxy had left. Aboard the human flagship Sol's, Reach Commander Lian stood in front of a map that now included every known disappearance, every known encounter, every ancient ruin linked to the silent presence. At the center of them all was a path, a single slow-moving spiral heading toward one system. The system held the last Council stronghold, and now, the countdown had begun. The Council had never asked Earth for direct help. Even now they were hesitant, proud. But as the Dark Force approached, they knew the truth. Only humanity had faced this before, and only humanity still remembered how Council leaders sent a short message. Come, if you can. We are not ready. The reply from Earth was even shorter. We already left. The sky above the Council world filled with clouds of static and strange shadows. Plants stopped growing. Wind stopped blowing. Technology failed. It wasn't a battle. It was like watching a world slowly lose its reflection. But then, just as silence took hold, it was broken by a low hum, steady, warm, familiar. A sound played across the sky, a melody, and then came the ships. Dozens of human crafts, each moving, in formation, without hurry, without fear. They didn't glow with bright lights. They didn't carry symbols of war. They moved like memories, steady and clear, one by one. They spread across the upper atmosphere, forming a giant net not of weapons, but of sound, data, voices, old radio frequencies, things meant to remind, not to destroy. From the ground, alien citizens looked up and heard strange voices in languages they didn't know, but they felt the emotion. Stories of Earth's past, songs of loss, of hope, of survival. The same things the Silent Force had tried to erase before, but now, it was surrounded by them. Alina watched the readings from her station. The presence was pushing, trying to break through the barrier of sound and memory, but the more it pushed, the stronger the signal became. Because humanity had found the one thing that worked, to face the thing that erased identity. You must become impossible to forget. Commander Lian opened a live broadcast, one that echoed through every known channel in the galaxy. Not just to the Council, not just to allies, to everyone. We are not here to fight, he said. We are here to remember. He paused, then added, you asked for help, but help does not always come with power. Sometimes, it comes with understanding. And with that, the final part of the plan activated. A sequence of connected memories from different human generations, from different cultures linked across the ships, forming a living wall of identity. It wasn't perfect, but it was loud. The Dark Force surged. It moved through the skies, tried to erase the signal, tried to silence the stories. But for every memory it erased, two more took its place. Old radio calls, childhood songs, messages from long-gone explorers, whispers from Earth's forgotten corners. The signal grew stronger, the darkness began to thin, and then, the presence stopped. It didn't vanish. It didn't run. It just faded, like fog in the morning sun. A long silence followed. The sky cleared, the wind returned, the machines came back online, and then, slowly, life began to move again. The Council, still unsure how to explain what had happened, sent an official thank you to Earth. But the humans didn't wait for praise. Their ships quietly left the system. Back to the stars, back to the shadows, back to watching, because they knew it might come again, and the next time, others would need to be ready too. So Earth left one final message behind. Do not forget. Not us, not yourselves, not what makes you who you are. And just like that, they were gone. Not as heroes, but as the answer no one expected, and everyone would remember.